One of my favorite mythology tropes that regularly makes into anime has to be the red string of fate, most impactfully for me in the Inuyasha and Yashahime series. However, it has been all over anime for sure. But where does this thread come from and what does it mean? That's what I want to take a look at today. So, if you've been enjoying my dives into the history and mythology behind some of your favorite series, be sure to leave a like and a comment down below. It is the best way to let me know that you want more, and it really does help with the YouTube algorithm. And of course, remember to subscribe to the channel so you can see more as it comes out. Finally, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at AxelBeats. While this might be typically thought of as a Japanese myth, this actually originates in China. However, it has also taken root in other countries such as Japan and Korea, each adding their own twist on the subject. The Chinese god responsible for marriages, Yue Lao, was said to tie an invisible red string to the ankles of two people who were destined to be married. This red string would connect people regardless of time or place, and while it could stretch or tangle, it would never break. Basically, no matter where or when you were meant to be with a specific person. And while you two might argue or things might be difficult sometimes, you were still meant to be together. Very similar to the idea of soulmates. The concept of the red string being tied to ankles is a bit of a strange one though, considering that we almost always see it connected to fingers in most mediums. That's because the most popular portrayal actually doesn't come from the original Chinese description, but instead comes from the Korean one, in which the string is connected to each person's pinky. Meanwhile, the Japanese perspective would connect a man's thumb and a woman's pinky. That all said though, the modern perspective on the myth in all three countries tends to be that each person's pinkies are connected, as the myths have kind of melded together over time. One of the most famous stories about the red string of fate is called The Old Man Under the Moon, in which a young man named Wei Gu comes across an old man reading a book under the moonlight. The old man introduces himself as Yue Lao and explains that he is reading a list of all the people who will marry each other. He then shows the boy his bag, which is full of red thread, and explains that he intends to tie the feet of future husband and wives together. He even goes on to show Wei Gu who he will marry in the future, bringing him to a market and then pointing to a 3-year-old girl being held by a blind woman. Wei Gu is disgusted by this and orders his servant to kill the girl in retaliation, the servant going on to stab her with a knife. 14 years later, a very rich politician would give his daughter to Wei Gu to marry, as he was having difficulty finding someone who wanted to marry her, because despite how beautiful she was, she had a large scar on her back and she had trouble walking. Wei Gu asked what happened to her, and the politician told him that 14 years ago, she was stabbed by a man in the marketplace. Despite this, Wei Gu and the woman would go on to get married, and they would have 3 children together. As his children began to grow older, he would seek out Yue Lao again to find out who his children should marry. However, because of his actions in the past, Yue Lao refused, saying that his children would never find suitors, and despite all the efforts of Wei Gu, they never would. I hope you guys enjoyed this look back at the red string of fate. It's a pretty interesting myth with a really fascinating story. Let me know your own thoughts about it in the comments down below, and which representation of the red string in media that you enjoy the most. I'm probably expecting a lot of Inuyasha and Your Name, but let me know if there's any others. If you want more of these videos in the future, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. And as always, I want to give a big thank you to the people over on Patreon, with our Dai Yokai Janice Not Janice, Ikerochu and Jacob Wiley, our Yokai Amelia Hellman, and our Hanyo, Anthony Hogan, Kiwi Dog, Love the Kiwi, Michael Greco, Nega Kitty, Savage Camel, Simon Electric, Suki Neko, and Ziv. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, remember to stay excellent.